This is the OBAs podcast, the King's podcast.
Yeah, crazy shit.
So was it during that time away that you put this amazing book together?
Yeah, I had to do something.
Yeah.
Going nuts. Yeah, I didn't really have much else going on. Like I was still working as best as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got so much energy. I had to get something out. So I figure, I always wanted to write.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the book. I have a copy here with me. I was gonna have it beside me, but I forgot to pull it out.
Yeah, you read this, hey?
I did. I read it. It was a great read.
Good.
It took me about 10 days.
Nice, man. Where did you find the copy?
I got this from Rebel Ink. Shout out to Rebel Ink. Yeah.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, they're great. I met amazing, beautiful waiters there.
Oh yeah.
If I wasn't going in to buy the book, I was just gonna buy the book either way, just to impress her. Because she was like, "Oh, I heard about this book." Like she was like, "Oh, I also have a copy." I'm like,
"Oh, great."
Yeah, but she was like, she hadn't read it. I'm like, "Oh, yo, you should read it. I'm gonna come back and give you a review and tell you what I think."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great book. I was happy about the size. Like it's a really good, because I used to read novels when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I always was discouraged when it's like if you have like a 4 minutes.
No, I'm the same way. Yeah, I did consider the size of it when I was writing it.
Okay.
I didn't want it to be too big or too small. Even like the physical dimensions, I considered.
Oh yeah. That's amazing. Because like once I picked it up, I'm like, oh yes, I can digest this. This wouldn't take me too long.
Yeah.
And so is this your first book? And how long did it take you how long have you been thinking about it? And now that you kind of have accomplished, it's a great project. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, thanks, man.
There's a lot of detail, like the different characters, the amount of back storytelling, kind of like and introducing us to the characters. I really enjoy that. So how long did that take?
Man, I've been thinking about it for quite a few years. Okay. Like I said, I've wanted to write for most of my life, but you just get so much stuff going on in life, I just didn't have time. So sickness is kind of a blessing in a lot of ways,
So that was a blessing.
Gives me some time. Actually, I had salmonella poisoning like 4 years ago or something like that, and that was like I was bedridden for a little bit, and that's when I started it. But then I got better, right? I was like, I'll do it another time. So this time around, I just I was probably halfway done when I picked it up this time, and it was a lot more work this time around though, because I reread it, right, to figure out where I was going, and it's crazy. In 4 years, even the way that I write, kind of changed. So I ended up kind of rewriting the whole thing with different like subplots and things like that. But I mean, though it's a work of fiction. Yeah, it's 100% a work of fiction. Okay. But
are any characters? So yes, it's a work of fiction.
Yeah.
Is any character kind of based on a real person, or?
So that's the thing is, like it is. So it's a novel, and when people look at it, they're like, okay, it's a. Okay, so we got like bikes, right?
You got fire.
There's a dude on a bike. He's my buddy. So it's like a photo I took years and years ago. It just seemed to really match the story.
It did. It literally does.
Yeah.
I think there's 6 bikes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 5. There's kind of 5 in the background.
Yeah. The whole picture, there's probably like 58 bikes or something like that. It was from like a
full frame. Okay.
Yeah, it was from like that thing. But the characters they resemble people I know. The story for the most part are different parts of my life. Like a lot of the stories have happened to me that I needed to like put together in a readable form. So I fictionalized the whole thing. And I mean, I know that there's people out there that are reading it and they're like, I think that's me. And fair enough. I mean,
I think it's a great book. Sunstoked Oil and Chains. I wanted to ask you one question about this.
Yeah.
This was very thrilling. I think the book took me in different directions.
Yeah.
It's definitely PG.
Yeah. Like high level PG.
Yeah, high level PG. It's not even, and it's like it's PG at like at different levels too. So like one of the things that really touched me was when, I don't know, this is a lot of a spoiler, but I really wanted to ask you about it.
Sure, man,
so please allow me.
Yeah.
So at the end, Craig, being pushed literally to the limit of what you would call like morality.
Yeah.
And he ended up, basically committing a crime that seemed justified.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the circumstance of what the perpetrator did, so he basically beat somebody to pulp. And for me, it's like someone that deserved it.
Yeah.
So like, how do you reconcile that? Like, because like what had happened to the other character, I think Thea, wasn't that happened years ago. It happened like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And Craig, even though he was thrown by emotions, like basically committed himself at that moment, is like, and he just reacted.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just like a huge tell on like our flaws as humans. It was like he was not the one who exactly was wrong, but then he had developed this connection with someone else.
Yeah.
And then he felt compelled to act almost in her stead in that situation. So yeah, that was like a huge, I don't know, moral conflict for me. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad that he gets to be indicted and criminalized for something that was always not his business.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that in any good biker story, I think that you do have that kind of conflict. The conflict between like the agreement we have in civilization, our society, our culture, and what is truly morally correct. There's a big conflict there. I think that he was right. The justice system doesn't consider those things when they're looking at people. So the book is definitely framed around some guys going on a trip together, they're friends, have a good time, some things happen, story unfolds, but like the underlying narrative there is one of like a spiritual and emotional and moral like expose or something, as you go through it, you really start to realize that there are, like, Craig really thinks about his spiritualism, and like is considering the difference between like his agnosticism and then his like religious side,
Okay, interesting. I definitely recommend it. It was very interesting. There's a whole lot of other things that happened, like the the rage, the Viking, the sex, the guns. It was amazing. So I definitely recommend it. I want to talk about something else that you have also been working on.
Hey man, I actually brought this for you.
Oh yeah,
so you can have this one. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the beginners. I know you're not a beginner.
I'm a beginner at heart. Like don't even.
I mean, we're always beginners, but there's a second version of this that's called the Competitors Strategic Journal, which is pretty much, it has the same as this, but it's lacking what this has for beginners.
Okay. And just to let people know, so this is something else that Richard has been working on lately, and it's this amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu beginner's guide, and also as a journal. That's more what it is, right?
Yeah.
I went through it at a gym, and I really, really enjoyed the first couple pages.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and then because like I have my girlfriend who doesn't do jiu-jitsu, and it just felt very perfect for someone who does not know the lingo. Yeah, it's like, how do I start talking to you? Like,
yeah. In the very beginning here, there's an introduction, and so it teaches you how to properly use the book, right? I mean, I think what we're all looking for as jiu-jitsu people is how to be as proficient as we possibly can, because things get in our way, injuries get in our way, so that means time gets in our way, energy gets in our way, and the best way to use our time is to use a book like this. People aren't writing down the things that they should be writing down. I mean, like, you can just buy a plain old book and call it your journal, and you can write things down. A lot of people write their moves down, but that's not what this is. I mean, so the first